From Mesmerized Online, headline, Mets prospects who can lead to MLB in 2024. Before we get into this video, hit that subscribe button so you know what's going on with the Mets farm system, minor leagues, stuff going on in the front office and everything in between. The New York Mets had 7 players who made their Major League debut in 2023. With the organization focused on giving young players a chance, we could see that many in 24 as well. Let's take a look at the players who could make the leap to the big leagues for the Mets in 2024, which figures to be a mixture of top prospects and potential depth pieces. The Mets only have 2 players currently on the 40-man roster who haven't played in the major leagues, Luisangel Acuna and Alex Ramirez. The 21-year-old Ramirez is almost certainly not going to play in the big leagues this season after struggling in High A Brooklyn last year. He will likely start the season in Double-A Binghamton, where he potentially stays for the duration of the 2024 season. Acuna, on the other hand, certainly has a chance to make his Major League debut in 24. The younger brother of Ronald Acuna Jr. hit .294 with 28 doubles, 2 triples, 9 home runs, and 57 stolen bases in 121 Double-A games last season between the Rangers and Mets organizations. The 21-year-old had played mostly shortstop in his career before he was acquired by the Mets in July. In 37 games at Binghamton, Acuna played 25 games at short, 12 at second. He had played 4 games in center field for the Rangers affiliate last season. This spring, Luisangel has been seeing more playing time at second base, and that makes sense for the long run given the presence of star Francisco Lindor. Acuna appears likely to start the 2024 season in AAA Syracuse, where he'll be one step away if the Mets are dealing with an injury. The Mets' infield depth pieces on the 40-man roster are Joey Wendle and Zach Short. The versatile Short is out of option, so if he doesn't make the team, he could be designated for assignment, leaving Luisangel as the Mets' only option on the 40-man roster. The writer had Acuna as the Mets' number 3 prospect on his most recent list, and he was listed on 4 of the top 6 top 100 baseball prospect lists. Just so you know, Joey Wendle and Zach Short are the only guys that could play shortstop in a pinch. So Angel Acuna, Luisangel is in AAA. If at some point he has to come to the majors to play second, he'd be the backup shortstop, which is fine. He's a very solid defensive player. Non-roster invitees. The writer is breaking it down the way because of the 7 players who debuted for the Mets last season. 4 of them were on the 40-man roster already, and the other 3 were all non-roster invitees to big league camp in the spring. Teams give you an idea of what they think about players when they decide what prospects and depth pieces to invite to Major League camp. Of the 26 non-roster invitees the Mets currently have, 10 of them have not made it to the big leagues yet. Those are pitchers Dominic Hamill, Eric Orsi, Christian Scott, Mike Vasil, Cam Robinson, and Nate Lavender. Catchers Kevin Parada and Hayden Singer. Infielder Jet Williams and outfielders Drew Gilbert. The pitchers. Hamill looks to be behind Scott and Vasil on the depth chart, so while they expect him to be in AAA this season, the chances of him making his big league debut in 24 aren't seemingly high. The 24-year-old finished the 23 season really strong with a 1.08 ERA in his last 5 regular season starts and pitched 7 2/3 innings in Double-A Binghamton's win that clinched a spot in the championship. Vasil has the experience of finishing the 23 season in Syracuse, but Scott is the better prospect, and been ranked in 3 of the previously mentioned top 100 lists. Both will start the season AAA, and the writer expects them to pitch in the majors at some point this season. Scott has the upside of being top end of the rotation pitcher, while Vasil's more of a 4 or number 5. Robbins, Orsi, and Lavender are all bullpen arms with AAA experience. As Mets fans have seen so far this spring, Lavender's impressive with a fastball that plays up because of the vertical approach angle. He struck out a whopping 36.4% of the batters he faced last season between Double-A and AAA. The writer says to believe it's more of a matter of when Lavender makes his debut in 24 than if he does. Position players. Parada and Singer are the 2 extra catchers in camp, and neither of them figured to debut in 2024. I would mention on the Mets 40-man roster, they only have 2 catchers. Alvarez and Narvaez. Sanger, a fine defender, spent the entire season in Double-A last year with a .602 OPS. Prior to the Mets' first-round pick in 2022, struggled all season last year for a player who was expected to be an advanced hitter. Both should start the season in Double-A Binghamton. With Williams and Gilbert, this is where things really start to get interesting and exciting for Mets fans. They are the Mets' top prospects, and both will have a chance to play in the majors this season. Gilbert is the Mets' #1 prospect and is more likely to see big league time this year. Part of the reason for both is that Gilbert is a good defender in center field, and it is believed he will stay there for much of his career. He's also going to start the season Triple-A Syracuse after hitting .325 in 35 games for Double-A Binghamton following his trade from the Astros for Justin Verlander. Gilbert will be a Harrison Bader, Starling Marte injury away from potentially seeing playing time in the majors with the Mets. Williams walked 104 times and stole 45 bases last year, and he's only 20 years old. 2022 first rounder also had 43 extra base hits on the season, including 13 home runs and 121 games between Low-A, St. Lucie, High-A, Brooklyn, and Double-A. He has played mostly shortstop in his career, though he has seen 22 games in center and will likely get exposed to second base this spring. Williams will probably start the season in Double-A and could move to Triple-A with a fast start. If the Mets are active in the second half, Williams is in Triple-A. There will certainly be calls from fans to see what they have in the talented youngster. A couple things about Williams. He is probably the future leadoff hitter on this club because he gets on base a lot, do the walk, and he steals a lot of bases. And he has said that he wants to be with the Mets this year, so he's very, very determined to get here. Other potential debuts. We've seen already touched on the most likely players who will make their major league debuts in 24, but sometimes a player or two surprises with a good start to the season and a need arises. Most of the time, this type of player comes from the bullpen when teams are going through a bunch of arms. So that's where the focus is here. Right-handed pitcher Nolan Cleaney, Daniel Nunez, Trey McLaughlin, Justin Jarvis, Wilkin Ramos, and Paul Gervasi. Given his ability to miss bats, Gervasi definitely has a chance to leap into the big leagues this year. Ramos gets a ton of ground balls, and opponents simply have a hard time barreling against him. The writer says, I would throw lefty Daniel Juarez in the mix as well. He showed a velo bump in his first spring outing. After pitchers, you have depth guys like Luke Ritter, Brandon McElwain, and Carlos Cortez, who will be in Triple-A for the Mets, and a couple of injuries could turn into options. Utility player Jeremiah Jackson, the Mets guy in the trade for Dominic Leone, is another possibility if injuries compound. He's a higher ranked prospect than the three players listed in this article above this. He had 22 home runs and 27 stolen bases, 119 Double-A games. Baseball is a long, grueling season, with injuries always having the potential to ruin a team's plans, forcing the need to bring up guys from Triple-A before they prefer to. What the Mets ultimately decide to do with the trade deadline will also affect how many of the players listed above we see in the majors this season. So this is a very exciting time, even in the Mets organization, all organizations really. But as Met fans, we're very excited for these prospects to get here and these guys from the minor leagues, because some of these guys have been big prospects at some point in their careers and some point in their lives. So thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later.